Hello, and welcome back to another exciting and helpful episode of the English Leap podcast, the #1 audio destination for English learners who want to improve their listening skills, expand their vocabulary, and transform their lives through the power of language. I am your host, your guide, and your friend on this journey to fluency. And today, we are going to talk about a topic that is incredibly important for every single person listening to my voice right now. Today, we are not just talking about grammar rules. We are not just talking about verb tenses. And we are not just talking about exam preparation. No, today we are talking about something much deeper, something much more emotional, and something that connects all of us as human beings. We are talking about how to make new friends. Making new friends is one of the most rewarding and beautiful experiences in life, but it can also be one of the most difficult, terrifying, and confusing challenges, especially when you are doing it in a second language like English. I know that many of you listening are living in a new country, or perhaps you are planning to travel soon, or maybe you just want to meet more international people in your own city. You might feel lonely sometimes. You might feel that your English is not good enough to hold a conversation. You might feel that you are too shy, or that you do not know what to say to a stranger. I want to tell you right now that these feelings are completely normal. Every person from every country feels nervous when meeting new people. But imagine a life where you have a circle of supportive friends who speak English with you. Imagine feeling confident walking into a room full of strangers. Imagine having people to laugh with, to learn with, and to share your deepest thoughts with. That is the goal of today's episode. I want to start with a story that I think many of you will understand. When I first moved to a new city many years ago, I did not know anyone, not a single person. I remember walking down the busy streets, seeing thousands of people rushing to work, laughing in cafes, and talking on their phones. Everyone seemed to have a place. Everyone seemed to be connected to someone else. But I was alone. I remember going back to my small apartment, sitting on my bed and staring at the wall. The silence in the room was so loud. I wanted to speak, but I had no one to listen. I wanted to share my day, but my phone was quiet. That feeling of isolation is very heavy. It makes you feel small. It makes you feel like an outsider. But then I made a decision. I decided that I would not wait for friends to find me. I decided that I had to take a leap. I had to be brave. I had to learn the skills of connection. And that is what I am going to teach you today. We are going to explore the psychology of friendship, the specific words you can use, and the actions you can take to build a beautiful social circle. So, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and let's begin this journey together. Because you are not alone anymore. You are here with me, and we are going to learn how to open the door to new friendships. The first major point we need to discuss is the concept of approachability and your body language. Because before you even say one word of English, your body is already speaking a language that everyone understands. Let us look at a specific example to understand this better. I want you to imagine a character named Sarah. Sarah is a lovely, intelligent woman who has just moved to London to study English and work at a marketing firm. Sarah wants to make friends desperately. She feels lonely in this big, rainy city. So on a Saturday afternoon, Sarah decides to go to a popular, cozy coffee shop in the city center. The coffee shop is warm and smells like roasted beans and sweet cinnamon pastries. There is gentle jazz music playing in the background, and there are many people sitting at tables. Some are working on laptops, some are reading books, and some are chatting in groups. Sarah buys her cappuccino, finds a small table in the corner, and sits down. Now this is the critical moment. Sarah is nervous. She is afraid that her English is not perfect. She is afraid that people will think she is strange if she looks at them. So what does Sarah do? She takes out her smartphone. She hunches her shoulders forward, making herself look smaller. She looks down at the bright screen of her phone and starts scrolling through social media. She puts her headphones in her ears. To everyone else in the coffee shop, Sarah has built a wall. Her body language is saying, "Please do not talk to me. I am busy. I am closed. Stay away." Sarah thinks she is just being safe and comfortable, but actually she is signaling that she wants to be alone. Now imagine a different version of this story. Imagine Sarah buys her coffee and sits at the same table, but this time she does not take out her phone. Instead, she puts her phone in her bag. She sits up straight with good posture. She looks around the room with a soft, gentle smile on her face. She makes brief eye contact with the person sitting at the next table. She holds her warm cup of coffee and just enjoys the atmosphere. This version of Sarah is signaling, "I am open, I am friendly, I am available for conversation." Suddenly, the person at the next table, a local woman named Emma, drops her pen on the floor. Because Sarah is looking up and not at her phone, she sees this happen. Sarah smiles and says, "Oh, you dropped your pen." Emma smiles back and says, "Thank you so much. I'm so clumsy today." And just like that, a conversation begins. They start talking about the coffee, the weather, and eventually they realize they both love marketing. This connection happened only because Sarah changed her physical behavior. She destroyed the wall and built a bridge. If you want to make new friends, you must look like you want to make new friends. You must be brave enough to look up from your screen, to take the headphones out of your ears, and to let the world see your eyes. It is a small change, but it makes a massive difference in how people perceive you. Now that we understand the importance of body language and being open, we must move to the second deep strategy, which is all about shared interests and the psychology of similarity. It is a scientific fact that human beings are attracted to people who are similar to them. We like people who like the things we like. It makes us feel safe. It makes conversation easier. When you are trying to make friends in English, the hardest part is usually the small talk. You don't know what to say. You worry about awkward silences. But if you are doing an activity that you both enjoy, the activity becomes a third participant in the conversation. You don't have to look at each other and panic. You can look at the activity and talk about that. Let me tell you another story to illustrate this powerful point. Let's talk about a man named David. David moved to Vancouver, Canada. His English was at an intermediate level, B1. He could order food and ask for directions, but he struggled to have deep conversations. He tried going to bars and parties to meet people, but it was too loud, everyone spoke too fast, and he felt isolated. He loved hiking and nature, but he usually hiked alone. One day, David decided to stop trying to meet random people and instead focus on his passion. He found a group on the internet called Sunday Hikers of Vancouver. He signed up for a hike up a beautiful mountain. On Sunday morning, he arrived at the meeting point. He was very nervous. His heart was beating fast. He saw a group of 10 strangers wearing hiking boots and carrying backpacks. He almost turned around to go home, but he stayed. As the group started walking up the trail, the dynamic was different than a party. They were walking side by side, not face to face. This is very important. Walking side by side reduces social pressure. You don't have to make constant eye contact. David was walking next to a man named Mike. They were both breathing hard because the mountain was steep. David didn't have to think of a clever opening line. He simply looked at the view and said, "The trees here are so big. It is different from my country." Mike looked at the trees and agreed. "Yeah, these are ancient cedars. They are beautiful. Where are you from?" Because they were sharing the experience of the hike, the sweat, the mud, the beauty of nature, the barrier between them disappeared. They already had something in common. They both loved hiking. They didn't have to search for a topic. The topic was all around them. By the time they reached the top of the mountain, David and Mike were laughing and sharing snacks. David's English didn't need to be perfect because the connection was based on a shared passion, not just language skills. This is the secret. Do not just look for friends. Look for people who love what you love. If you love painting, join an art class. If you love coding, go to a hackathon. If you love reading, find a book club. When you place yourself in a room with people who share your passion, you are already halfway to making a friend. The context does the hard work for you. You just have to show up and participate. Moving forward in our deep exploration of social connection, we arrive at the third essential pillar of making new friends, which is the art of active listening and the magic of follow-up questions. This is perhaps the most critical skill for English learners, because often when we are learning a new language, we are so focused on our own performance that we forget to listen to the other person. We are so worried about our grammar, our vocabulary, and our pronunciation that we spend the whole conversation thinking about what we are going to say next, rather than hearing what is being said to us. This is a huge mistake. The truth about human psychology is that people love to talk about themselves. It is their favorite topic. If you can be the person who allows them to talk about themselves, they will love you. They will think you are the most interesting person in the room, even if you say very little. To explain this, let us imagine a dinner party scenario with a character named Ken. Ken is an intermediate English speaker who is very shy. He is invited to a dinner by a colleague. He sits next to a woman named Lisa. At first, Ken is terrified. He thinks, "I do not have interesting stories. My English is slow. I will be boring." But Ken decides to use the spotlight strategy. Instead of shining the spotlight on himself, he shines it on Lisa. Lisa says, "I just came back from a holiday in Italy." Now, a bad conversationalist would say, "I went to Italy 2 years ago." That shifts the attention back to yourself. But Ken is smart. Ken keeps the spotlight on Lisa. He asks a magic question. "Wow, Italy! What was your favorite part of the trip?" Lisa's eyes light up. She starts talking about the food, the architecture, and the wine. Ken listens intently. He nods his head. He makes eye contact. When she pauses, he does not change the subject. He asks a follow-up question based on what she just said. He asks, "You mentioned the food. Did you try the pizza in Naples?" Lisa becomes even more excited. She talks for another 10 minutes. Ken is relaxed. He doesn't have to speak much. He just has to steer the ship of the conversation. By the end of the dinner, Lisa tells everyone, "Ken is such a wonderful person to talk to." Ken only spoke 20% of the time, but he made Lisa feel heard, valued, and interesting. This is the secret. You do not need perfect English to make friends. You need curiosity. You need to learn the specific question words: who, what, where, when, why, and how. Use these words like keys to unlock the other person. How did that make you feel? Why did you choose that job? Where do you want to travel next? When you ask these deep questions, you move past the superficial small talk about the weather and enter the realm of real talk about life. Friendship is built on real talk. It is built on emotion. So relieve the pressure on yourself. You do not need to be a comedian. You do not need to be a storyteller. You just need to be a detective, searching for the treasure in the other person's life. When you show genuine interest in someone else, they will naturally become interested in you. It is a mirror effect. If you are warm, they are warm. If you listen, they listen. This takes the pressure off your language skills and puts the focus on connection, which is exactly where it should be. However, even with the best body language, the best shared interests, and the best listening skills, there is still one giant monster we must defeat: the fear of rejection. This is the fourth and final challenge we will discuss today. It is the voice in your head that says, "What if they say no? What if they think I am weird? What if I make a fool of myself?" This fear stops more friendships than anything else in the world. We must understand that rejection is not a reflection of your worth as a human being. It is simply a part of the statistical reality of life. Not everyone will want to be your friend, and that is completely okay. To overcome this, we need to look at the story of Elena. Elena is a student who wanted to exchange language practice with native speakers. She saw a group of students sitting on the grass at her university campus. They looked cool and intimidated her. She walked past them 3 times, her heart pounding in her chest like a drum. Her palms were sweating. She felt like everyone was watching her, judging her every move. This is called the spotlight effect, the false belief that everyone is noticing our mistakes. Finally, Elena gathered her courage. She walked up to the group and asked, "Hello, can I join you?" One of the girls looked up and said, "Actually, we are having a private conversation right now, sorry." Elena felt her face turn red. She felt hot shame washing over her body. She mumbled, "Sorry," and walked away quickly. She felt like crying. She told herself, "I will never do that again." But later that night, Elena thought about it logically. Did she die? No. Was she injured? No. Did the world end? No. The awkward moment lasted for 10 seconds, and then it was over. The next day, Elena saw a different person sitting alone in the cafeteria, reading a book she liked. She remembered the pain of yesterday, but she also remembered that she survived. She walked up to the person and said, "Is that the new Stephen King book?" The person looked up and smiled huge. "Yes, it's amazing. Have you read it?" They started talking, ate lunch together, and became best friends. If Elena had let the rejection from the day before stop her, she never would have met her new best friend. You must treat social skills like a muscle. When you go to the gym and lift weights, your muscles hurt. That pain is necessary for growth. When you put yourself in social situations, you will feel awkwardness. You will feel fear. That emotional pain is necessary for your social growth. You have to be willing to be awkward. You have to be willing to make grammar mistakes. You have to be willing to have a few people say no so that you can find the people who say yes. Rejection is just a filter. It filters out the people who are not right for you, leaving space for the people who are. So embrace the fear. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Walk up to that person. Send that text message inviting someone for coffee. Join that club. The worst thing that can happen is an awkward moment. The best thing that can happen is a lifelong friendship. The reward is so much greater than the risk. Do not let fear keep you lonely. You are strong, you are interesting, and you are worthy of friendship. As we bring this extensive episode to a close, let us take a moment to breathe and summarize the incredible journey we have taken together today. We started by acknowledging the loneliness that comes with learning a new language and living in a new place. We learned from Sarah that before we speak, we must open our body language, put away our phones, and signal to the world that we are ready to connect. We learned from David that the easiest way to bridge the language gap is to find shared interests and activities, letting the environment do the work for us. We learned the spotlight strategy with Ken, discovering that being a good listener is more powerful than being a perfect speaker. And finally, we learned from Elena that fear is normal, rejection is temporary, but regret lasts forever. You now have a complete toolkit. You have the psychology, the strategy, and the motivation. But listening to this podcast is not enough. Passive learning will not change your life. You must take action. I have a challenge for you. Within the next 48 hours, I want you to initiate one interaction. It can be small. You can smile at a barista. You can ask a colleague how their weekend was. You can join a Facebook group for a hobby you love. Just one small step. Because every great journey and every great friendship begins with a single step and a single hello. I believe in you. I know you can do this. Your English is good enough, and your personality is unique and valuable. The world is full of people waiting to meet you. Go out there and find them. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the English Leap podcast. I know your time is precious, and I am honored that you chose to spend it here, investing in yourself and your future. If this episode helped you, if it gave you even a little bit of courage, please support the show. Smash that like button right now. It really helps the algorithm show this video to other lonely learners who need this advice. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a daily lesson. And please, leave a comment down below. Tell me, what is the biggest challenge you faced when trying to make friends? I read every single comment, and I want to hear your story. Share this video with a friend who might need a confidence boost. We are a community here. We are a family of learners. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and most importantly, keep leaping towards your dreams. Until next time, take care of yourselves and be brave. Goodbye.